Good morning. Today is Monday, May 4th, Star Wars Day for some of you. Um, Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo, Taco Tuesday, something that people were looking forward to via memes at the beginning of the year. um, Today, this video is going to be probably the last big, deep one that I can provide for you. I'm currently uh, really trying to get through your rough drafts as quickly as I can. I've got an Australian Shepherd who's very curious as to what I'm doing right now. Okay, she's just curled up. Um, so yeah, so I'm trying to get through those as fast as I can, and that certainly impacts the the amount of time that I'm able to spend just kind of freely. Um, they are taking me, around an hour apiece for the most part, because of the detail in terms of feedback and insight that I'm giving to you. There will be a final draft that's expected of you, and that will not be due until that final day of May 20th. Certainly, if you've got feedback, get started. Um, Alternatively, one of the things that you might do is you might make a copy of your current rough draft. Don't work on the one that you've submitted to me, but you might make a copy of what you've currently got, and start, adding your fourth piece, and other insights perhaps that you may have gained. But I am frequently giving new insights in terms of um, alternative sources for weaker sources, and there's a lot of problems in terms of accuracy, in terms of works cited pages and parenthetical documentation. Um, it's evident that a lot of people were not bothering to look it up. So, but with that said, I don't want to beat you up with that. It's interesting that at the beginning of the school year, we read Bartleby the Scrivener. And there were many, many students at the time that we read Bartleby the Scrivener who were angry and frustrated with him, could not understand at all where this I would prefer not to attitude came from. Well, here we are. Surprise. So many of you have turned into Bartleby. What are you prepared to do? That was the first question that I gave you at the beginning of the year. What is it that you are prepared to do? I gave you Walker Percy at the beginning of the year. And Walker Percy says that as tourists, as students, and ultimately as people walking around in our lives, we have these moments where we look at something that other people have praised and raved about, and we just don't get it. And the advice that Percy gives us is that we have to fight for the soul of that experience for ourselves. That ultimately, what you get out of an experience is up to you. And so, if you want to succumb to the producer's expectations, then that's all that you'll do. You'll just succumb to that producer's expectations. If you view something, if you experience something through the lens of being a consumer, if that's all that you want to do is be a consumer, then that's fine. So, first lesson, what are you prepared to do? Walker Percy. I challenged you about intellectual curiosity, being curious, wanting. Ultimately, you've got to find that passion for yourselves. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story. Um, Even though I'm expressing some disappointment regarding some of your behavior, certainly not everyone. Um, as one of you pointed out on Friday, or asked, I should say, on Friday. I can't remember if it was Friday or Thursday. Maybe it was Thursday. The student asked, "So, how many students have ghosted you?" More than I would like to have ghosted me. I'm stunned. Um, Given that, first semester there were people who were begging me for certain kinds of grades, who don't show up to class. And if you're not producing anything right now, guess what? You're not showing up to class. And and I'm not inclined to look favorably upon that kind of behavior. Um, I will take care of you as best I can, but I'm only willing to take care of you as much as you're willing to take care of yourself. But let me tell you this story, okay? Friday was my wife's 51st birthday. 51. She was born prematurely, months, um, underweight, so on and so forth, um, and was in the hospital for months and months and months. She's made it to 51, and she is one of the best parts of my life. She's helped me get to these. So those are perfect representations of my three kids, but that's not what they look like now. This is my senior in high school, and in my mind's eye, this is the kid that I see all the time. Um, she was compliant. We would tell her to go to bed, and she would put her head down on the pillow and go to sleep. And the look of worry on his face, well, that's the perfect image of his own father. And then this, well, that's the kid that is going to cause us the most stress, despite the fact that senior failed that class first semester that I've told you about. But even though she failed a class, she's still going to be okay. She made her decision, like many of you. Um, we've made our deposits for housing and whatnot. She's going to end up ultimately exactly where she's supposed to end up. And you are going to end up exactly where it is that you're supposed to end up. At the beginning of the year, a number of people asked me why I became an English teacher. Fate, I guess. Somebody asked me at my 20th high school reunion 10 years ago how I met my wife. And I told her, luck. Things happen. I've said before that I would like nothing more than to punch somebody in the face who says that these are the best 4 years of your life. College is also not the best 4 years of your life. They're just 4 years of your life. They might be the best 4 years up until that point in your life, but that's just up to that point. Somebody asked me last week how I continue to be able to uh, be at a point where I can be supportive for my students. How I've managed to just not give up. I could be at a point where I'm just not grading anything. and that comes from experience. So when I was a senior in high school, when I was at this phase of my high school career, my plan, here was the plan, was to go to college and major in criminal justice. I didn't major in criminal justice. I never took a class in criminal justice. I lived at home with a plan to commute and save money for the first 2 years of college. Actually, the plan was to just live at home for 4 years. My parents moved away after 2 years. Things don't go according to plan. This is something that I've been trying to tell you from the beginning of the year as well. Things don't go according to plan. So what do? I found an apartment. I didn't want to move onto campus. I didn't want to move into a dorm. I had been going to school for 2 years. So I found an apartment, continued to commute, found a job out in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, and I commuted for the last 2 years and supported myself with my parents had saved up more money than my wife and I have managed to save for our daughter. Um, but I was responsible for my own finances and had to proceed from there. All that time, I was dating my high school girlfriend, um, back and forth. So at the end of our freshman year, actually at the beginning of our freshman year, we said that we would date other people. And I uh, went to a concert with a girl that I had had this terrible crush on before I started dating my high school girlfriend. And when my girlfriend found out about that, she was devastated. And I said, then I guess we're not ready to date other people, and so let's not do that. I don't want to hurt you in that way. I care about you. I love you, and you know, and so we agreed to not date other people for our freshman year of high school or of college. At the end of our freshman year of college, she comes home and says that she wants to date other people. Well, I was not okay with that, and she did not respond in the same way that I did. The plan was that she was going to date other people. Well, and I had the opportunity to, I guess, but I really did not have that motivation. Um, I was really, by that point, convinced that this was the girl that I wanted to marry. So she saw a couple other people, and over winter break, we kind of fell into it again, started dating each other, and by probably the midpoint of our second semester of our sophomore year, we started dating each other exclusively again. And then the following year, our junior year, as friends are getting engaged and so on and so forth, I asked her to marry me. And so got engaged. The fall of our senior year, she was the resident director of an all male freshman dorm. Going into that year, people were asking me, "Well, aren't you concerned she's going to be, the female resident director of an all male dorm?" I was not concerned. I had no concerns, no qualms whatsoever. And then she told me that she was cheating on me with one of her residents. I was devastated. This was November of our senior year of college. And then, she told me that it was a horrible mistake. She had made a terrible mistake, and she wanted to stay together, work things out. And I said okay. And we did. And then we graduated from college, and shortly after she came home from having graduated from college, she broke up with me because she had cheated on me again with the same young man. And again, I was devastated. I didn't see how I could move forward. I had decided my graduate school program was going to be at the same school that she was going to. I was going to get certified to teach, so that I'd be finished in a year, and the plan had been that we would get married, and I would support her for her final year of graduate school. And so all those plans gone, gone, destroyed. But I continued to make these terrible choices where I continued to try to be with her. So all through that summer, um, we were still kind of dating. And she went to her homecoming after our graduation, so the first homecoming for college. And I begged her to not go, and she comes back and she says, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this dating thing with you anymore because I'm in love with somebody else. And sure enough, I mean, the freshman that she had cheated on me with was still at that school, and so on and so forth. So again, just totally, totally crushed. And that was it. I stopped contacting her. That was it. I focused on my work and my schoolwork, and there was this other girl that I was just kind of seeing, that I started to see. And then my ex fiance, my ex girlfriend, starts calling me every night, and leaving a message on my voicemail. And I'm like, what is going on? What's the deal with this? And sure enough, we started seeing each other again, and it felt nice. It was nice. It was nice. And then so we've been graduated for almost a year, and the young man that she had cheated on me with dies in a car crash on her birthday. There was no way that I could help her through that experience. Um, but but our relationship was getting stronger again. I finished my program, and starting to think about, okay, so how can she and I move forward? How can we make this work? I told her after we had broken up after graduation from college that I'm not going to ask you to marry me again. I've already been through that. It's up to you now. But I was at a point where I was like, okay, maybe I should be in a position where I can do that again. Um, and so there were like these incremental sorts of steps that we needed to kind of go through in order for me to be able to recognize that, okay, maybe this is the point. Maybe this is, if we get through this thing, kind of looking forward, if we can make it through this step, then I'll ask her to marry me again. And so that summer, she had her physical therapy internship at um, the San Diego Naval Hospital, and she made it through that. We made it through that together, okay. And I'm interviewing at places and not getting any jobs, no bites yet. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe we're almost there. Um, we make it through to around Thanksgiving. Um, we're 5 years out now from high school, and around that time was my fifth year high school reunion. Um, and my younger brother finds himself in trouble with the law, and my parents don't come out for Thanksgiving as they had originally planned. And so, my high school girlfriend comes to my brother's apartment and spends Thanksgiving with just he and I. And I'm like, well, this is it. This is the moment. She's proving that she wants to be with me, and so I've got to figure out, okay, so when's the best time to ask her? And her second internship was going to be in Washington D.C. And I'm like, well, maybe Cherry Blossom Festival, or ultimately when she's graduated with her master's degree. So she goes through her first round, and actually, ultimately, I guess it's her second round of internships since she did the one in San Diego. First one was in Charlotte, West Virginia, and she was like, I want to move here. I'm like, I kind of want to be an actor. I can't. What kind of theater is there in the middle of West Virginia? And she got mad, and I can certainly see why she got mad. But we didn't talk about it, which was unfortunate. And her second internship was at the Bethesda Naval Hospital in Maryland. Well, she got back from that, and the infamous words that she had told me before, "We need to talk." She had cheated on me again, and that was it. That nearly killed me. That nearly killed me. Um, Somehow, some way, if I look back on it now, I view myself as a chess piece, and I was being put into position. Things much bigger than me, and I don't know, what your faith systems are. I don't even know for sure what my own faith system is. But things were being put into place that are much bigger than me, that I could not foresee. Um, Somehow, after that breakup, I got called to interview at Penn High School, which happened to be the same town that my parents had moved to. And so I interviewed and I got the job. Um, and this was weeks after my manager at the Olive Garden gave me my, I don't know, my 5-year pin, maybe it was a 3-year pin for my employment at the Olive Garden. And I'm like, one of the only people there with a college degree. And he comes to me and he says, "Mike, I'm sorry. I know you want to be somewhere else." And so I get this job. Um, and I'm out of money. And so conveniently, I'm able to move in with my parents. Um, but there I am, 24 years old, moving back in with my parents. So there's that kind of devastation. So I'm, slain by the breakup with the ex-girlfriend, the person who I wanted to be with, who was part of the plan. And that part of the plan was just yanked out from under me. And so I lived with my parents for about 2 years. And 2 years into living with them, uh, I meet my wife in an AOL chat room called Bored Teachers. And there was no romantic kind of discussion going on. There was no flirting that was going on in that chat room. And we talked, emailed back and forth, instant messaged each other through AOL. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the ins and outs of AOL, but I talked with her for a couple of months. I auditioned for my first play, didn't get it, but the director encouraged me to come out for the next one, and I did, and I got that. And shortly after that, I met my wife. But here's the part where this is why I feel like things were being put into place that are much farther beyond me. Around the time that my high school girlfriend told me that she wanted to date other people, that was around the time that my wife got kicked out of her house. She was being put into place. She and I were being put into place in just the right way. We were going through the experiences that we needed to be having in order to be able to meet one another. And I'm convinced that this is the fact, that this is true, because I don't know, it must have been 5 or 6 years ago. I'm cleaning my house and I find this box underneath my computer desk here at the house. I actually have a computer desk, but it's got a computer on it. And there's a journal, and I find this journal, and the last entry was about a month before I met my wife. And the language of that journal entry amounts to what you would expect out of a suicide note. And I don't remember being in such a low place as to write that note. And that was a month before I met my wife. A month before we said, you know what, we should meet. Things happen the way they are supposed to happen. And we just have to keep getting up every day and doing the things that we need to do in order to put ourselves exactly in the place that we are supposed to be. Somebody asked me earlier on in the year, um, around the time that letters were coming out, letters of admission were coming out, how do you know that you're in the place that you're supposed to be? And my only answer to that question is you just do. You just do. Um, you will end up exactly where you are supposed to be. You will meet the people that you're supposed to meet, and everything will come together the way it's supposed to. Those three beautiful children that I showed you, I wouldn't have them. I wouldn't know any of you at all, if any of those things, those horrible tragedies hadn't happened. If I hadn't died those three times that, you know, my ex girlfriend tells me that, to be told that I can't see you anymore because I love someone else after we've been dating for years. That's devastating. But, you know, so I think about her frequently. She's part of my that rear view mirror that I have, but I choose every day to love my wife, my beautiful 51-year-old bride, who is she's older than me. Um, I've come to learn over 20 years, 20 years this year, her quirks. Um, I roll my eyes at her, um, behind her back, but I love everything about her. And I choose to love everything about her. And she didn't save my life. I saved my own life by choosing to love her every day, by choosing to get up and do the job every day. Those are the things that people do. You've got to make choices. They're not always easy choices. If I can't do what I want to do, then my job is to not do what I don't want to do. We grow accustomed to the dark. The bravest step out. Sometimes they hit a tree, but they're not staying in one place anymore. You've got to keep moving. We might have dreams for things far ahead, and those dreams may not come true. You will find yourself exactly where you're supposed to be. Work hard this week. We have 2.5 weeks left. Keep doing it. Do the things that you have to do in order to be successful. You're almost there. I'm going to link you with something in today's post to go along with this video. And from that, uh, you know, check out that link. There's some good stuff that's going to be coming your way where that's concerned. Um, Email me with questions, certainly about Heart of Darkness. Um, and yeah, as soon as I'm all done with all these papers, there will be a post about expectations for the final draft. But you have a good sense of what those expectations are already. Don't work on the if you do not have comments on yours, don't work on the rough draft you've shared with me. Make a copy and work on that one. Okay. So cheers. Good morning. Good Monday. Work hard. Thank you.